Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Legendarium Green Team. I'm your host, Josh, and today I have with me Hurinfan.
Hi.
And today we are going to be discussing the Hexologists, Book 2, A Tangle of Time. We're very excited about this, but we did get an arc, and we just wanted to say that the views and opinions are ours. We want to thank NetGalley, of course, for giving us this book to review it ahead of time. We want to thank Josiah Bancroft, of course, for writing the book, and that was an excellent job. And we're going to do a little spoiler-free section first, and then we'll get into our spoilers. So, in a non-spoilery way, did you like the book? Did you dislike the book? Tell me.
Yes. I loved this book. Anybody? Sorry, I gotta get in a comfortable position. Yes, I loved this book. Oh, that was a big jump. Yes, I loved this book. Anybody who listened to our last episode learned how much of a Josiah Bancroft fan I am, and I don't remember. I didn't recently listen to our last episode, but uh, I don't remember how much I liked it compared to his books of Babel, which I was also a massive fan of. But considering this book and the next one, by the end, I think this might be, overcome Babel as my favorite series of his. He only has the two, but yeah, he's quickly becoming one of my favorite authors. That isn't to say that I didn't have a few problems. I did have a few problems. Um, and right now, I don't think I could tell you if I preferred the first book or the second book. But up until a certain point near the end of this book, I was certain that I was liking this one more, at least. How about you?
Interesting. Interesting. Yes, I really liked this book, of course. I thought it was great. Like you, I really love Josiah Bancroft's writing, his style, his prose and his unique stories. This one, I can tell you what my problems were, but maybe I'll get to that a little later with it. But I think I have a hard time saying whether I like the first one better or the second one better. I would know more if I had reread the first one and then this one. I think the first one just stands out as just a really amazing one. And this is a really amazing follow up. And by the end of this book, I was really loving it. I can just tell you now, the first half felt really slow to me.
Mm.
That we're introduced to a mystery and then it's not dropped, but there's very little progress made through the first half until about the 60-ish% mark, I felt like, and then it really started coming in hard and fast,
Interesting.
which is not to, it sounds like a mad, but it was just that's just how I felt, right? Like, and that might have been just the way I was reading it, but all in all, I loved it. I thought Josiah Bancroft's prose again was just incredible. His descriptions, his storytelling, some of the foreshadowing he did was marvelous, and just there were things that happened that I was like, oh yeah, that was. He mentioned some things, and I thought, oh yeah, that's just how it is because it's a fantasy world, not thinking like, oh wait, this is actually an important clue that he's passing on to me. You know what I mean? Until I get to a certain point, and then I'm like, oh wait a minute, this is also very different than what I remembering, but he played it so well. Like we'll have to talk about it a little more, but there are some specific things that happen in this book, being a tangle of time, that really take a lot of work to write and write correctly, and I think he did it really well.
Yeah, I think our viewers should know some information before I go any further. I finished this less than half an hour ago, and unfortunately, I was kind of rushing through the end. Um, so in a regular episode, I would probably have some notes that I'll be able to talk about, but really, most of everything I'm going to talk about tonight is either straight from my notes from my phone or off the cuff. But I know exactly what you're talking about because many, many, many times throughout this story, I wrote notes, highlights with notes in my reading app. We use the same one, Moonreader. Yeah,
The best, props to Moonreader.
yeah, Moonreader's best. And I was like, wait, is this foreshadowing? I think this might be foreshadowing. And I bet if I go back and reread those notes, it absolutely was foreshadowing. Because he's so good at that. And not only is he really good at the foreshadowing and giving these little details that like might come back later, he's so good at mixing in the with the themes of the story. It's like after so many times that something comes up, you're like, oh, this was probably important. Maybe I should go back and look at this again. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to go back and look like I wanted to, but I am very, very much looking forward to a reread of this, even more so than my first reread of the Hexologist, his first book.
Yes. No, I agree. When I finished the book, I my first thought was like, I need to read the first like 5 chapters again, at the very least, to really like make sure I understand and like catch everything that happened. And I didn't reread the first 5 chapters, but I did do a quick word search on a couple things and just be like, okay, this is mentioned beforehand. This is mentioned here, like just how tricky it is. And I was like, oh, I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah, he's got a
Um,
few good reveals that are like, "Wait, that's weird, right?" And then,
mhm.
something comes up later, and you're like, "Oh, I thought that was a little weird." He's so good at,
Uh-huh.
like, making you rethink, like, what you know and what you don't know.
I agree 100%, and that's one of the things. Yeah, he was just it was masterful. It didn't strike me as odd because it didn't strike the characters as odd at all. Like it was just a
That's
fact,
yeah, well put,
you
yeah.
know? And then yeah, I was gonna say something that was good. Oh, Josiah Bancroft is not afraid to call things out. That is kind of a thing in his work. He sees a lot of problems and he definitely talks about them and makes
Yep.
sure you know what he thinks his problems are. Can't say
It's kinda
it's his attitude that's
Pratchett-esque in
good.
that way.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. I picked up quite a few Pratchettisms, and I think that what I remember of the Hexologist books, I said it was about, the haves and the have-nots, and I'm probably gonna cut this, I forget completely. But I had, like, 3 major things that came up, in the first Hexologist book, and I think around 60% of through this one, I was thinking, like, "What is this book about?" Like, I'm not sure, and then, like, almost immediately after I thought that, things started lining up in my mind. Oh, I'm like, "Oh, it's about this, and it's about this, and it's about this," and it was so masterfully done.
It was. I really think the 60% mark is the turning point in this book. No, I wish it was earlier, but that's where it is for me. But let's see, spoilery thing. Anything non-spoilery that you want to say besides that everybody should go, buy and read this book when it comes out.
No, like, I thought the same thing about the first book, and then other people read it, and they're like, "Yeah, it's fine." Like, "What? How could you think it's just fine?"
Yeah.
Um Like, this is brilliant, like, you got I admittedly haven't read a lot of fantasy fantasy mystery. Would you
Hmm.
put this in the category? I read what was the first Shadow of the Leviathan book?
The Tainted Cup.
Tainted Cup. Uh, I there's a lot of similarities there, and I think that's actually a brilliant book, and people should go read it, but I think this kinda blows that out of the water.
Really? Really? I
Yeah,
haven't read that
absolutely.
one yet, so that's
It
exciting.
like I said, like, read the Tainted Cup, it's very good, but, when I read the Tainted Cup, I kept thinking, "Oh, man, this makes me wanna read the Hexologist," and so, as soon as I finished that, I read the Hexologist again. But,
That's good.
like, I'm not really into cozy fantasy, what people say, but, like, for me, this is cozy. Like, this follows 2, like, characters that I just love to be with. Um, they they have such great characterization and the way that they appear on the page and their love for each other. It gives me a warm feeling. Not to mention like they're lighthearted, and they're not afraid to go into like deeper subjects and darker things. But just being with these 2 people that I've grown to love and I feel like I understand them is just been, for lack of better word, and cozy.
It is. Yes. No, I agree. He's done another masterful job of giving us 2 characters that are so easy to love and so easy to get to know and to feel like you can talk to them and know what they're doing and what they're about. Um, but
Oh,
let's
wait.
one more.
I gotta mention the pros. I haven't even mentioned the pros. You've mentioned it
Oh,
before, and I didn't. I'm the pros guy.
you're the pros
This
guy. Yeah,
like
I'm not the
Bancroft.
pros guy.
I like anybody who's read Bancroft knows how good he is. But like, it's just he's knocking it out of the park every single time. Like the first words in this book I highlighted. I'm like, wow, this is good stuff. And like every time he introduces a new character, it's always like something just so memorable, but so fitting and so perfectly written to give like the exact emotion or evocative image to the reader, I think. So thank
Hmm.
you, Mr. Bancroft.
Yes, he has done a great work. All right, let's get into our spoiler section. So if you have not read the book yet, please go get the book, read the book. It's an amazing book. Come tell us how you feel. We're gonna go and talk about it now. because this is an arc, we are going to try very hard not to directly quote things from the book because phrases and sentences may change.
Yeah,
Um,
they
and it's just
specifically
not.
asked us not to.
They do ask us not to most of the time, so we're gonna try really hard not to. But it's really tough because there,
We'll
as I'm sure you
paraphrase, I
know,
guess.
here in fan are so many good quotes in this book that you just want to like repeat over and over again, right?
Yeah, I should have contacted the publisher and asked him like what we can and can't say before we recorded. Well, next
Uh,
time.
There's always next time. So, I want to start, and I want to start with just like the one thing that I just wish was a little different because the rest of what I have is really good.
Okay. I also
Okay.
have something.
I love Warren, right? I love
Mhm.
Warren. I love Isolde, but I wish Warren felt like a little bit more active or a doer or a pusher. He feels very passive in this book to me. Like he's all about. I love that he is all about helping Isolde. I'm not trying to say that that's a bad thing. I love their relationship. I just feel like in this book, he was very he was more passive in this book than in the previous book. How do you
Yeah. I haven't thought about it, but I think you're right. His thing this book has just been I think one of the characters calls it what was it? The evil cop character calls him
Yeah, just like a house husband basically or a
yeah,
kept
like
man.
but a really in a really derogatory yeah, kept man, I think is what he called him.
Yeah.
And well, that's a terrible thing to say, and he's a wonderful husband and everything I think somebody would want in a partner. It is kind of true for this story because he's just kind of there to support Isolde. And I think I would like him to be a little more
Yeah.
active. Although
I'm not saying he needs to be really more active because I know that he's not about the magic, right? But
Mm,
there was very little physical confrontation, which is where he excels in this one.
yeah,
Right? He was very good at the socializing part of it, and we get a lot more into his kind of
I love it every time
psychosis
that
and stuff.
happens.
And I love his stories and like I know he performed his role well. I just
Hmm.
wish he'd been a little bit able to propel the plot more because it
Hmm.
really felt like everything he did was in service to Isolde pushing the plot.
Yeah, I think it's
But
fair.
but again, Josiah Bancroft, if you're listening, please don't change the books for me. Just you keep writing what you want to write. I'll
And
keep reading it, I promise.
but what I love about I said this earlier, but like the characters, you feel you understand them so well that anything that they do just comes off as so natural. Like you could
Mhm,
think, what would Warren do in this situation? Like, well, Warren would do this,
mhm.
Warren would do that because he's just such a friendly a person who, like, he got his like a perfect example of this is where he decided to get his tattoo on his back. He went to the drudgery part of town. He saw a sign that was like really crappily written, and he liked the character, and so he has this terrible tattoo on his back that slowly got better and better over time. And that's just such a great description of the person Warren is.
Yeah. Well, and I love in that scene also, he's just like the tattoo artist is like, please let me fix your back. Let me make it so much better. Well, I gotta actually rewind a bit to the end of the last chapter. Because the end of the last chapter right before that, the scene before that, he's like, oh, we should go down to the docks and visit this person. It's been a while since they stabbed me in the back. And so immediately your mind is thinking, oh, it's a betrayal, it's somebody like that. Oh no,
Yeah,
it's just a tattoo artist tattooing their back, right?
yeah,
But
that's
he's
so
like,
good.
no, I can't let you draw over your old art. Like this is a testament to how far you've grown, And I'm like, that's the Warren I love. He's a good
Or
guy.
the way he's describing art and the beauty in imperfections with his naked stone wife in front
That
of
was
him.
so funny when
Yeah.
he like freezes her to stone. He's like, ah, perfect, and she's like scratching her butt and stuff. It's just like, oh, that whole scene was just it's just so funny as he wheels her in, and oh, I just loved it. Okay, here's something. I don't know if this was is present in the first book, but Josiah Bancroft is not afraid to tell us that Warren and Izzy capital love each other and
Oh,
do it frequently.
that was all over the first book. Remember when they took the jaunt to the king's palace and they did it inside the car?
Well, you can count how many times they did it in this book. It was quite a lot, and I just it's not bad because he's not going into anything graphic or anything, but it's just funny that like anytime they get a chance, they do it, and it's just hilarious. In
And then
jail, in the
not
bathtub.
not only every time they get the chance, like when they're not doing it, they're thinking about it. Um, I remember because she was one of my favorite scenes in the book was they're just so hot because it's the summertime, right?
Mhm.
And she's in the middle of thinking about this case of the woman who killed herself, and she's like, "Oh, my bra's uncomfortable. I want to take it off, but I know what that's going to lead to, and that sounds a lot more fun than what I'm doing right now, so I can't do it."
Yes. All right. I think actually we should probably tell our readers what the book is about besides our my small early complaint. I'll give a little plot synopsis. How about that?
Okay, okay.
So Warren and Iz attend a play, and then after the play, Isolde is guilted by herself into checking up on an artist that contacted her for some help. They come in, they find that the apartment's been ransacked, or the house has been ransacked, and things are missing. They see basically a bomb go off, and then all of a sudden, they're watching the play again. And this actually threw me for a loop when it happened the first time. I was a little confused as to what was happening until I figured it out, right? Turns out
Ditto,
they have
yeah.
gone back in time, Iz has become sick. The first half is basically them trying to figure out, who this author is, but the crime scene is completely different when they visit it again. They go through investigations trying to find any connections, any things they have. They enlist their friends, their friend Sir Hayden. They enlist, if they don't enlist, they come up against some other nobles or kind of landed people, Sir Meliodas. Um, they investigate, they figure things out. More time loops happen. They
Hmm.
lose the portmanteau, and then they are able to find out that Sir Hayden has been going back in time. He has perfected, you could say, his hex, a hexologist hex, and is using it to travel the snarl, which is the backbone of all magic, but very complicated and confusing and drives most people to insanity when they see it. And fixing his past, causing irreparable damage to the future. And Isolde is able to stop it. She goes back in time a final time, stops them from helping Sir Hayden to save his life, and then they live a life again. So that's a very quick synopsis. There's so much nuance and detail in there. Please just know that I'm trying my best.
Yeah, that was well put. And you reminded me a couple of things before we heap more praises onto this book. My problems.
Okay, yes, please.
This is not a problem, but I thought it was a little obvious that Hayden was the bad guy. Was it obvious to you?
Oh no, wasn't obvious to me.
Well, considering the first one and how I want to say anti landed rich people the book has been and was in the last one,
Uh-huh.
I think, oh, they have a mysterious new friend, and he's just kind of acting kind of funny at the party. I'm like, okay, this guy, there's more than meets the eye. He's probably the bad guy. And I thought that immediately because he was rich and because he was acting a little funny. But
See,
that's not a criticism.
no, that's fine. I thought that this was going to lead more into Mr. Stagg.
Ah,
Right. I thought this was going to lead more into a Mr. Staggs coming back through time, but I couldn't figure out what was exactly happening, of course.
hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of where I was going. So,
The Mr. Stagg reveal was cool. We should talk about that.
oh yeah, should we talk about it right now?
Well, I want to get into my criticism before.
Okay, go into your
Uh, I
your
had two, but
criticism.
I swear. We'll look at my notes before. Maybe I have it in my notes.
Is your criticism about Broxburn the loser cop?
No.
Hmm. Well, I didn't like him, but for good reason. You're not meant to like him.
Yeah, it's not my notes. Maybe it'll come back to me later. But my biggest problem was the info dump chapter where the bad guy starts monologuing. Um, I just thought it was lazy. I hate these long info dumps where like, okay, because I have time to kill. At least this time, unlike some other books or movies, the villain actually has some time to kill. So at least they gave us that. But at the same time, I'm just like so annoyed and I'm rolling my eyes while he's sitting here monologuing to Warren about his evil plan and how everything went down. I'm like, just shut up. I don't like this is not realistic. Don't give me this. And that was like at the 85% mark in the book. And so
Yeah.
that
I
was my biggest problem.
I don't I mean, I can agree that it's probably a little unrealistic, but at the same time, I think the people who end up doing these crazy bad things, somebody who is traveling through time and believes themselves on the path to becoming a god, they have that ego that would prompt them to want to brag about it. And who can you brag about it to except somebody who is going to die? At least
I
I
can I can understand that to an extent, but at the same time, the whole thing just felt contrived to me.
sure.
Um, like okay, well, I have to keep you awake because then you give me more life essence. I'm like, really? The-
It's that much difference, but I like I said, I can see it, but I just didn't bother me quite as much. Um,
Well, you know
I
me,
did
I
like
hate info dumps. I think
that's
it would
true.
have been a lot more interesting if just were we given like maybe half as much of the information and we're just left to like ponder the other not so cleanly laid out for us plans.
Mm,
I just thought I think it makes for a more interesting reading experience. But we still have
that's
plenty of
fine.
that too because of all of the we're given all of these clues throughout the book that something's not right. When you heard that the moon was shattered in two, did you think twice about it?
I didn't. I didn't. I just thought that's. I read that and I was like, oh yeah, of course the moon's always been shattered in two because why would he lie about that to me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he wasn't lying, but like
No.
the part that got me was what they're talking like the bird warning came on that like be aware of your birds
Yeah,
with the jaws that bite, and I'm like, no no
this
no
has
no,
never
this
come up
is
before. What is this?
this yeah, this has never been a thing. But then he played it so well because the characters obviously believe it and they had their full regalia and they're like, "Oh, this is what I always wear when I go outside for my, to stop the birds from trying to cut my throat." And I was like, "Am I just for a second, I was like, am I just wrong in remembering everything about this book that I've been reading?" And then I
Hmm.
was like, "No, this has to be a problem with the time every time time gets changed, right?"
Yep.
So,
It was so well done. I love it when the reader is forced to confront something like that, where the characters inside the story are just accepting it as it is, because that kind of thing, especially in a fantasy novel, you have to just accept it because the characters accept it and accept it as part of the world. But when it's happening at the rate that it is, and then it's happening when previously in the book it wasn't like this, or in the previous book it wasn't like this, and you're thinking, is it me or is it the book? It's neither. Well, it's both.
yeah. I was a little confused every time there was a back in time switch, but not in a bad way. Just in a okay, I have to reset. I'm going to replay the same scene, but it's going to be very different. And then it just threw me off. And it was probably more me reading it, but I thought it was a nice thing where you're reading the scene and then it just kind of cuts and goes right back to the same scene, but different. And Isolde gets sick every time, and I'm like, this is, but like I said,
Well,
in a good way.
the first time it happened, like I'm like, we got an arc. Is this like, is it supposed to be here? But then I'm like, okay, it's a Tangle in Time. It's probably some sort of time travel to get explained later. And I was right. But for
Yeah.
the very first time, I'm just like, what is going on? And
Yes.
then a page or two later, I'm like, oh, okay, I understand now.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit expecting a time loop,
Mm,
right? Like almost like a Groundhog Day kind of a thing. But I think this was better. Like I'm
I agree.
not, yeah, I think the way it played out was better. I kind of wish, I almost wish they'd been more of the time in it. Does that like two more time travel instances or one
Mm,
more even would make it just but then it makes it too obvious. But like, you know what I mean? Like I'm just conflicted on all of this stuff. Like,
I know what you mean. Because like by the end of the book, things had broken to a point where you're just like, well, something's definitely off because we notice the birds, and even at the very end, and they get to like the heat death of the universe, and like there are volcanoes going off, and an endless winter, and
yeah.
yeah, I think it was pretty cool how you did that though.
Oh yeah. No, I love the unintended consequences of going back in time, even just causing things that aren't supposed to happen because you're messing with this fundamental force of everything,
Hmm.
right? And then I did love at the end because Feliovox, our dragon in a jar, basically, he kind of felt forgotten. He was there. They do stuff. Oh, I know what one of my other complaints was. I'll tell you in a second. But by the end of the book, she jumps in the jar again or in the bag again. You read back to the first book, and he's like, "Hey, you're here. It's been so long, but I had to wait because my time got
Yeah.
sped up and yours didn't. And excuse me, let me bite this arm really quick. I need to help you out with this. Like, please, I love you guys. Like, thank you for coming back into my life. Um, what I didn't like, or one thing I was a little disappointed in, is that Isolde does not keep any of her memories,
Mm,
and so it. I know that these books are separate and that there is continuity, but there's not continuity. But she doesn't learn anything about the hexes. She learns so much about hexes, and she doesn't get to keep any of that.
yeah.
Right?
I prefer it like that.
I just a little bit, because like I don't know, it makes more sense. But I felt like she changed or grew a little bit, and then it was kind of lost,
I
but
like the
not
reset
really.
button.
Yeah, it kind of feels
Um,
like a reset button, but not. But not. You know what I mean?
mhm. Uh, I'll have to think about this more before I want to agree or disagree too much. Cause I don't know, I like real consequences to these kind of big events like that, and I think that counts.
Mhm.
I just think that counts as a big consequence
Oh
for
no, I agree.
like the
Yeah,
events of the
that's
novel.
right. No, and that's I mean, the mystery I thought was well done. I had me guessing. It didn't have you guessing, but it had me guessing as to what she was working, what the artist was working on, and what things were happening.
Hmm.
But should we talk about the? We'll talk about the Mr. Stagg relationship, because I love that Josiah Bancroft always doesn't always, but he has a lot of happy and positive relationship goals in his book, and like good couples that go together.
Hmm.
So the reveal that Mr. Stagg, this enemy of the family who's always sending, her dad on these wild trips to find things, is her mom. It like blew me out of the water when I was like, "What? It was you this whole time?" Like, I mean, how you
Yeah,
said you wanted to talk about it. Hit me with it.
I think it's just such a beautiful display of the different types of love that relationships can have. Because when she told her when she was having this conversation with her mother, and they don't exactly have a strained relationship, but they're not really on the best of terms, right?
Mhm.
They're not best friends. Uh, but we see Isolde and Warren's relationship, and it's kind of like the best.
Yeah, it's like a perpetual honeymoon with
It,
adventure.
yeah, they're clearly madly, publicly in love with each other. And then you compare that with her parents, and like it's maybe not so obvious. And so when she has this relationship with Warren, and she has an idea of what like, and she gets this idea from her mother of what their relationship is like, and she understands that they still loved each other, but they have different needs, and they just love each other in a different way they do. And I just think that's beautiful.
It was great. I'm gonna look something up really quick that talks about that, because I marked it. Um, it's just something that here it is. This is what I wanted to say. The mom is talking, and then Isolde says, basically, just because we both have the same burden, we both lost my father, lost this man, doesn't mean we have to feel the same way about it.
Yeah, that was a
Isolde's
good line.
hurt. Isolde's mad that he's gone, lost. But his wife, her mom, his wife is like, I sent him out because I loved him, and like he's gonna come back. I know he is, and like, and the reveal. There's a couple reveals. There's the hourglass that tracks his life that's got his sand stuck in it, and
Hmm.
then the letters from the editorial from Mr. Snag that comes in once a year wishing her a happy birthday. So what do you think? You think he's alive, dead, stasis, coma?
I'm afraid to say because I'm sure we had this question at the end of our last episode, but I don't remember what I said. I'm sure he's alive in some way.
Fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the medium scene?
Oh, that first I thought when she mentioned Mr. Stagg, my first thought was, oh, she's got. I mean, that seemed so real, and so I had to just. My first thought was like, oh, her dad is somehow like trapped in limbo or something, and he's forcibly taken this over and is doing this. I feel like now my opinion more lies that Sir Hayden had just prepped Madame Smooth Cheese into being into knowing things ahead of time. But I
Yeah,
just don't know if he would have known about the 11th birthday thing.
yeah, I don't think Haddon wouldn't. I don't think Haddon's involved with that at all. And I don't have a good answer for it. I know what I would prefer, and I'd prefer a less scientific answer to it. I think that would be a lot more interesting, and I love it when our very lovable but flawed protagonist gets loses in such a very public way, even though in the end people didn't think she lost, right?
Right.
But it was I liked reading from her perspective where she knows she lost, she knows she was wrong, and yet she's too proud to do anything about it because she really hates this medium who probably and likely is an actual con artist who just
Yeah.
happened to come upon what I'm hoping is a real brush with you know actual
With
supernatural
something.
forces.
Okay. Okay. So you're saying she is a fraud. She just happened to somehow this one time connect with him because of the circumstances aligned, and it was just a fluke. But
Well, like I said, what I want to have been is actual supernatural forces. What I think actually is probably gonna end up being is this old is right, and you can't interact with the dead, and her father's not actually alive, or some weird time and messaging shenanigans happened, and there's a perfectly logical scientific explanation for it, which for me is unsatisfying, but for other readers might be more satisfying.
no, that's fine. I in the not in the beginning, they kept talking a lot about Mr. Stagg. Mr. Stagg, I don't know, maybe it had as much in the first book. Again, I haven't reread it recently, so I can't say. But for a minute, I was thinking that since there was time travel involved in this one, that Isolde would fall into time somehow, and she would become Mr. Stagg, and she'd be the one sending her father out on these quests,
I
right?
could see
To
that happening in a different story. Yeah.
yeah, right. And then the reveal that his wife is Mr. Stagg is amazing, and I
Me
love
too.
that they were like, hey, I sent him off, he'd come back, you came along, we just kept it because it was great and it was working for us, and we didn't really think about you that much, unfortunately, but like, I'm sorry,
Things happen.
but we love you, yeah. No, I think the family, you can feel her love, and it was just his writing is so good. He's able to push out these emotions and everything. It's so nice.
I thought of my other criticism,
Oh,
and it's not so much a criticism as it is just an unfavorable comparison to the first book.
okay.
Because I remember in our discussion of book one, I was raving about these side characters.
Mhm.
And then they'd go to one location and they meet somebody really interesting, and then that would take them to another location and they would meet someone really interesting. And that was the staple of, these mystery genres. Um, and the same kind of thing happened in here where, they get one clue and it leads them somewhere else, etc. But I just think I can't help but think that the secondary and tertiary characters in this book were just a lot less interesting than the last one.
Think so. I mean, I think there are I can't say. I think there maybe are fewer, but the fewer that we get, there's some that are more well developed and there's some that aren't.
Mm.
But and I wouldn't say they're one-sided, but we only see one side to them, right? Like you can tell maybe there's a real person there, but the side we're seeing is only what we're seeing, and so we're not. It feels a little off. But oh man, I had so many lines that I wanted to read out, but I'm not going to because we're not going to. So I'll just paraphrase them for a second here. So I loved when Isolde puts her hand in the bottom of the portal bag, and she's basically like,
Portmanteau. Portmanteau.
the portal manteau, and she's like, I touched the bag's unremarkable and completely boring bottom, and I'm, it's just like I've never seen the bottom of this bag before. Where she files the letters under the couch cushion, rendering the matter completed and closed. Just being like, well, I'm gonna forget about that. Under the couch cushion it goes. It's like right into the trash.
uh, this book is so funny.
So
Like,
funny.
it's not. I wouldn't classify it as a comedy book like Discworld, but it's just the humor is really clever and it's rooted in the characters themselves, and that's the kind of humor that I like. So maybe somebody
I
looking for something humorous, I would recommend too.
I did think it was funny that in the final confrontation that Warren kept dying,
Hmm.
but I did love that their relationship is so trusting that Isolde just says, "Listen, do this," and he just does it. right? He's not like, well, but why? We haven't, he's just like, oh, my wife said it, like, let's go. This is what I'm gonna do now.
She is smarter than me. I mean, if she was my wife, I'd probably listen to her like that too. Not that I don't listen to my
Probably.
wife, but like, if she told me to jump off a bridge, I probably wouldn't do it. And I think Warren would.
I think Warren would in a heartbeat, but they have a very, very specific relationship. Do you remember? This was a funny scene to me. Isolde cooking for Warren. It's right after he's afflicted with a hex, and he's weak,
Yeah.
and he's in bed, and she's like, "Look, I made you soup," and he's like, "Great, thank you." And then she like tries the soup, and she's like, "I put this and this and that in it," and he's like, "That's so good." And he's like, "Oh, is that an onion?" And she's like, "Yep, you say to always put onions and things till they melt, but this onion wouldn't melt, so I just kept going." And he's like, "Oh, I love it. I'm gonna go back to sleep now, but I'll eat it later for sure."
Poor
But
guy.
that's Warren's love language is food, and so it was so tender to see Isolde trying to cook for Warren
She
and being
tried.
like
She
I
put her
love you
effort
and
into
this
it.
is how you want it. And Warren knows that, of course. He's not
Yeah.
like a fool that he knows. It was just so funny reading that and him being like, "You did good. I appreciate it. I'm gonna go to sleep."
Yeah, that was good. That was a really good one. Do you want to talk about themes?
Let's do it. Hit me with it.
Um, I think one of the more prominent ones, especially compared to the last one, was just sexism.
Yeah.
There's actually a point when she is captured by the police officer. And the whole police
Broxburn.
department's basically sexist. Broxburn, thank you.
Hmm.
Um, and she goes through this spiel about how just about how sexist their society is and all of these reasons. And my first thought was this is kind of on the nose, like in a derogatory or a negative way.
Hmm.
But then I thought about it, and it makes absolute sense because that is exactly what her character is like, and in that situation, that is exactly what she would say.
Hmm.
And when I looked at it like that, I'm like, okay, I like this, even if it's a little, even if it's a little obvious.
No,
I was like,
I think that's one of the strengths of his characters with his themes is that his characters match his themes, and then that his characters are able to talk about his themes and put it forth without it sounding weird. It's not like a
mm-hmm.
character just standing up and being like, all of the sudden today, I've decided that I need to talk about sexism. No, it's she suffers from sexism. She's very competent. We know that. Everybody knows that she's competent. What does she say? Somebody, oh, you're just a fake and a fraud. And she's like, kings and queens have come to my door. When there's a problem, you know where people go? Do they go to you? No. People come to me when there's a problem, and I fix it, and I fix it good. And you won't accept that after the fact. But when it's a crisis, where do you turn? You turn to me. Like, give it to me. Like, give me my praise that I deserve. Or accords that she deserves, basically. I thought that was really good.
Actually, I'm looking at my notes right now, and before her like spiel when she's talking
Uh-huh.
about Boxburn, like the chapter before, I wrote down. I think a theme of this book is sexism, and then the next chapter she kind of lays it all out for us.
That's true.
um, yeah, cultural biases against hexology and specifically women. Institutions have transformed greed into engines. Uh, you replace the organs of empathy and imagination. Just she lays it into it. And I love it.
Oh, I love that she checks out her mom talks about giving her a book of an anthology of insults. Like it's always good to have a spare set of insults in your pocket, and man, does she use them when those tirades.
Oh
Um,
man, old books have the best insults, and I think the art of the insult has been lost for the most part. I'm sure that some people do it pretty well.
I think I think one of the other themes of this book is the commercialization of everything,
Yep, I was
right?
thinking the same thing.
Because there's a quote by actually our antagonist, and he's like, "Magic is miraculous, but it's not super reliable. Like hexes fail sometimes, things happen." He's like, and because of that, they're only occasionally lucrative. Like, and if there's no money in it, then there's nobody looking forward to it. Or making progress in it, and it's like,
Yep. I'm nodding. Where
yeah,
she meets her old professor, and she was She went into retirement basically because all of her colleagues sold out and are destroying the planet for some extra money at the time. Or
Mhm.
the commercialization. A large part of this book is about art, right? Because the artist is the one who supposedly killed herself, and all of these high class people are buying her art on the sly, and the commercialization of those art and how you can make money making art, and how vapid the people who are buying her art actually are. And they're all rich, of course, because, the rich
Right.
people are always the bad guys. It's true, though.
If they just, I don't know. It's yeah, it talks about all these themes and does so in a good way. And
Mm,
like, I mean, we could talk a little bit more about the NEP as well, where the NEP is like, hey, the NEP exists. It all comes from this one spot. It would be super easy to shut down if they really cared or if they
yep.
really wanted to. And I don't want to
But
necessarily
it
get
only
into that whole
exists for
spiel, but yeah,
it
it
exists
exists
so
for
that
a
the
reason.
government can have control over people through fear and intimidation, and they need a bad guy and a scapegoat, and the NEP serves as that.
Yep.
How cool was the NEP planet?
Oh, that was interesting. That was interesting. I liked it. It's just, I mean, the parts that I remember, of course, is just Ward being like, "Well, my wife is gone. I'm gonna get rid of these clothes. Like, I cannot be stifled this way." Because he's such a big guy. He's just like, he rips it off and he's fighting the machine, and he's like, "Abernathy, please help me." And
Abernathy. I forgot about Abernathy.
Abernathy's so funny. It's a djinn that's trapped in the head of a staff that conjures fire, right? And his wife gets herself spit out, but she dumps the bag of Nep out. She's like, "Yep, I got that bag just like you asked."
Mhm.
And yeah,
The giant crab, and it's a crab getting her, and like the whole planet's like emitting radiation, and you can only go in it a little at a time. But yeah, it
yeah,
was a really really interesting sequence to read, and it was really really what's the word, exciting.
yeah. I like
One of my favorite parts
there's
of the book.
oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Oh,
just
it was one of your favorite parts? Okay. I liked it. I liked that, each book so far we've gone to a different planet or a different plane for a little bit. The first book we go to the, I don't remember
hellish
where it is.
one.
The hellish one, yeah, and then, this one we go to the water planet kinda thing, and it stinks. Everybody's like, "Oh, it stinks so bad." Like, nobody will take them anywhere after they go in there.
Yeah, I
But
love this. It's so imaginative, despite being clearly like, I don't know, early modern our world. Like definitely resembles like an early automobile period of
like an early industrial
Earth.
revolution.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, so different and imaginative. So props off to, like, I think when you read stuff like this, especially in maybe like uh what's the word? Steampunk.
Mm, mhm.
It comes off as a little samey, and maybe doesn't diverge from the formula that's been established, but this is very different from other stuff that I've read like this.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. I had a note to talk about the Pixie Queen a little bit, that she can
Oh, that was
see
cool.
the snarl. I'm I like that it was there, but I'm not sure if that whole scene leading up to it was 100% necessary. Kind of felt a little extra, but it gave us some nice details about the snarl, or the dimid, I think is what she calls it or something. But I liked it. There's just, small thoughts about it, small bad thoughts that I tried to shush.
I'm trying to think how it resembles anything else in the story other than Warren sacrificing his health, similarly
That's
to how the queen sucked his life force, and hex magic sucks the life force of the person that's using it, and then the bad guy also did the same at the end of the book. But
I
that
think
doesn't
I
seem
think
all that.
it's kind of the foreshadowing to her learning that you can power hexes with something besides yourself,
Yeah, that's probably the most. Yeah, I
right?
think
Where
so.
she's like, "Oh, I sucked all the insects that were just created with Warren's life force. I just killed them," you know. So, like I said, it was a good scene, and it set some things up. But I'm just not sure if it just felt too long for me, or something. But I can't. It was good, and I'm not trying to say it was bad. It was something that kind of stuck out to me. How about that?
Um, on that vein, I love how Bancroft can show us something, and it could feel doesn't feel like an info dump in the least, and yet it still feels like a setup for something that he could explore later in the series.
Mhm.
I think he does that so naturally. Like at one point, this isn't world building in the sense that it's something that we didn't know already, but when he turns Isolde into a statue, and suddenly she's thinking about the 1 year after she dies, having to be a statue, and then coming to grips with that. It's it seems so natural for her to think about something like that in the moment, and it also serves as a reminder to the reader um, that she did that in the last book, and that's probably going to be important in the future. Um, but that's the kind of world building and info dumping, for lack of a better word, that I actually like.
Yeah. Well, I like that one because it's enough hints and clues that like you could technically read this book first. There's really nothing stopping you from reading this book and understanding what's going on. Maybe a
Oh
little bit,
yeah,
but not really, right? They're very. I've been telling people that when I've been reading it, I've been telling them they're kind of similar to Sherlock Holmes. You know, they get a mystery and they go solve a mystery, but with magic and steampunk and hexes and things. And they're a couple that love each other, right? But like, you could read book 2 first. I would definitely recommend reading book 1. But if you only read book 2, you could be like, "Hey, that's a weird thing," like, but it wouldn't throw you off, but it might excite you to go read the first book, right? Like, or
yeah.
just to be like,
I'm
"Oh,
trying
was
to think
there?"
of like any reason why somebody would have to read the first one before reading this one. Like they make very very few references to the stuff that happened, and they weren't really important events
I
for what's
think
happening in this
the
book.
only thing you're going to lose out on is a little bit, and I'm emphasizing little bit of knowledge about the magic system
Oh, and Felavox,
and Felavox, yes, but
yeah,
at the same time, not really,
and maybe
because
a
he's
little
just
bit about
treated
her
as a given,
father.
so he would be always known about. Yeah,
Yeah,
you could
I'm just
do
trying
it,
to.
but like,
Yeah,
yeah.
it wouldn't
Um,
be a terrible place to start. Definitely recommend the first one though.
Oh yeah, 100%, yeah.
But
No,
it's not
and
like offensive to me for somebody skipping the first book.
so this is a little late in our discussion here, but who would like this book? What kind of people, what kind of readers like this book?
um,
Smart readers, handsome readers?
yeah, smart, handsome readers are the only people
That's
who would
right.
like this book. So I think I would go far as to say that if you're not smart and handsome, you won't like the book. So if you're not smart and handsome, don't even try it.
Don't even. I think people who like good prose, of course, are going to like this book.
Hmm.
Of course, if you like the first book, of course, if you liked the Books of Babel series, you know his prose style. But I think his prose is wonderful, and his unique plots is a really strong point, right?
Yeah, if you want imaginative fantasy too.
Yeah. And then I would say this book is anybody who's competent enough to read the words and kind of understand everything and put the pieces together w- would be able to read this book. I don't think there's anything too heinous that you'd want to
People
not.
just want to
Yeah.
if you want to read about likable characters doing interesting things, like if you're looking for a um, what's the word, a fantasy mystery, with likable characters, likable leads at least, um, and you often read about people as like, oh, we want middle-aged people or we want older age people. I'm like, I think these. What would you say? Is Holden Warren are in their 30s, maybe early 40s?
I just peg them around their 30s. Yeah. Mid 30s. Like, and
Yeah,
that's,
40s
yeah.
at most. Like I think that's people are asking for that. I've seen that lately. So yeah,
Hmm.
check it out.
Yeah.
Probably should have done that before spoilers, but whatever.
Yeah. We need to have a bit of a format change, or a
Yeah.
consolidation of things, but it's okay.
I don't
How'd you
know.
feel about the chapter titles? Because I thought most of them were well named. Enough to give
Um
you hints, but not enough to give you like to spoil what was going to happen in the chapter.
yeah, some of them are clever. I can't say I have much of an opinion.
That's fine. I looked at them a little bit last night. Yeah, because I finished yesterday as well. But I looked at them a little last night, and I was like, "Oh, I like that one. That one makes sense." Kind of just perusing them. So they didn't
They're
detract.
short and they will help you remember after the fact what happens. So
Mhm.
I think that's what most people are going for with chapter titles. So yeah, they're good. I liked the glossary at the end. The last book had that as well. And the illustrations at the beginning were also welcome.
Yes, always love a
I
good illustration.
It's probably not important. Yeah, I guess with the like very, very episodic books like this one and the last one, it's not too important. But I might have mentioned this the last time we had the Hexologist, but Josiah Bancroft did the absolute best job I've ever seen of an author giving a recap to the reader before doing the next book, and that was book 4 of Babel. Do you remember it?
I remember it. Yeah, it was very good.
Like, in case somebody listening to this hasn't read Babel or hasn't gotten to book 4, what Bancroft does is he didn't do this in the previous 3 books, maybe because he just had a spark of inspiration, or he saw people asking for recaps for the important things before a book.
I think it was
But
just the longer gap between 3 and 4 than 2 and 3.
yeah, that could have happened too.
Yeah.
I think a few authors lately have been writing recaps for like what happened in the last book, like outside of the story itself, just for to run the readers before they get into the story, so that they don't have to rely on info dumps, which I'm absolutely all for. But Bancroft took this to a whole nother level when he wrote the events of the first 3 Babel books as a play, an in-world play, and then the reader is given an in-world newspaper review of that play for the reader to enjoy before the story begins. So I want to see more of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if Bancroft's listening, please keep doing that. Not that you have to for these books, but just keep doing your thing, man. We love you.
Yeah. I think I'm all kind of tapped out of good things to say about the Hexologists, a Tangle of Time. I kept calling it a Tangle in Time. It is a Tangle of Time.
Of Time. Yeah, I made
Of
that
Time.
mistake too. Because a Tangle in Time seems to be a pretty common title for things, and if you Google it, you're like, oh, which one is this? But it's a Tangle of Time.
Of Time, which I think actually makes more sense with the book as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
did you have anything else you wanted to talk about before we close up this episode?
I'm sure if I had notes, we could talk a lot longer, but we've probably talked enough.
Okay. All right, everybody. So, thank you for listening to us talk about the Hexologists, a Tangle of Time. Huron and I both absolutely loved it, and we think everybody else should go out and read it and love it as well. It's amazing. We have nothing but strong recommendations. Okay, Huron, last thing I'm going to ask you. Out of 5 stars, how many stars?
0.
0 stars. You heard it here first. He's giving it a 10 out of 5. That's 0 stars, or you just don't like the star system?
I do not believe in reducing books to a number.
Okay, that's fair. I do sometimes, so I'll give it a 5 out of 5 stars. You don't have to ascribe to my beliefs, but I'm going to forcibly tell you that I think this was a 5 out of 5 book for me. Even with my small problems with it, I didn't feel like they overly detracted from the whole story. They were just personal feelings. So,
Oh yeah. If anybody ever sees me give a star rating to art, either I did it a long time ago and I've stopped, or I'm doing it as a joke. So, like
that's fine.
all of Robin Hobb stuff on my Goodreads page is a 1 star.
I am going to have to cut off my friendship with you, even though I know that's a joke. It's a joke taken too far. Will not abide by that.
I think Yeti in an episode said that I don't know, he said something really mean about some Robin Hobb 5 star, 1 star, and so I labeled all her books 1 star despite loving them.
That's funny. Thank you everybody for listening to us again. Thank you, NetGalley, for providing us with this arc. Thank you, Orbit Books, for taking that chance on Josiah Bancroft and helping him publish. After you're picking him up after he'd started self-publishing. Thank you, of course, to Josiah Bancroft for publishing these books and for writing them. They are amazing. We continue to love them. Please keep writing. The music is Galactic Damages by the Jingle Punks. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.